Holy shamoly, Copper Dan and Packer Jack. Gary Drayton here from one of your favourite treasure hunting shows. Here to say congrats, guys, on your YouTube channel. That treasure hunting YouTube channel of yours that you do, giving away prizes. You've already raised over $30,000 for kids with cancer. And I got to tell you, you guys are a couple of Bobby Dazzlers and top pocket finds in my book. Now you really are a credit to the hobby, and you deserve everything that's going to come your way. I love stories like this, people giving back to the hobby. I do so little, really. Got to be honest, I'm still an hard-working guy, and I'm on the road a heck of a lot. And when I'm not on the road, I'm giving treasure hunting and metal detecting lessons to Oak Island fans. I would say that as far as inspiring people, there's a heck of a lot of people getting into metal detecting because of me, and I am proud of that. And I just know that, you know, part of my job, and it is a job, what I do, is putting a smile on people's faces. Fans of Oak Island, I love, that's my favourite part about being on the show, actually, is the fans. And putting a smile on people's faces, and then when I meet people, I get to make the day. And this has made my day. Copper Dan, Packer Jack, you guys, oh, and I'm a poet and I didn't know it, all those names rhymed. You guys are a credit, a real credit to the hobby, guys. It's my honour to say that you guys are Bobby Dazzlers, and if I can help in any way, I can. I got a website, GaryDrayton.com. I've got my email address on there. And if you guys need me to sign some stuff and send it to you, I will do that. What a worthy cause. Kids with cancer. I'm a dad. I'm getting the clump just thinking about it. It is a fantastic thing that you guys are doing. And I'm proud of you just as the searcher community are. So congratulations, Copper Dan and Packer Jack. I know that your future is so bright, you gotta wear shades. I think it's absolutely amazing what you're doing. So guys, want to wish you all the best in 2022 and in the future. And I am going to check out your YouTube channel. And anyone who else is watching this video, get yourself there, check out the YouTube videos. These guys are doing amazing things. Over $30,000 for kids with cancer. Congratulations, guys. You deserve a well-deserved shout out. All the best, guys. Cheers, Gary.
Hey, partner. Remember he said I'll send something to you? He didn't have to send it to us. We went down
we went down and personally picked it up.
We went down and personally picked it up with Mr. Napple and Miss Power and Francis, Mrs. Packer.
If you guys have not heard, we're going to give that away tonight. That's personally signed by Gary. It comes with a picture of him signing it. Am I correct in that statement?
Yep, we have a picture of him signing from his pickup truck that had his metal detectors in it. And I'll do a little certificate of authenticity with it. And we're going to do that tonight, probably halfway through the show. So if you have not commented on episode 13, last week's episode, get in there, comment. I don't know how many comments are in there right now, but we'll do that drawing after a little game show that we like to do every week. And hopefully one of you will be the lucky winner. How you doing, Dan?
Well, you know, when I'm not wrestling trees, I'm doing pretty good. And
you sent that, And I was like, what, did you like leave our show last week and go get in a fight with Ranger Jack? I couldn't figure out what happened.
I was scouting around Yellowstone National Park where I shouldn't have been, and Ranger Jack found me.
Awesome. Barry Casey says, thanks, Packer Dan and Copper Dan and Packer Jack. I got the shirt today. It's a Bobby Dazzler. Wow, glad you finally got it. And
I sent out the book, and he received it. Well, I got notification that it arrived to where it was going yesterday, and he hasn't not got back to me, but I'm assuming he has it.
We got Tyler here. We've got Treasure Warriors, JK, Susie, Michelle, Mary, Truck and Treasure, Nomadic Man, Davio's in the house.
I got
Barry,
to meet Truck and Treasure.
Mike N is here too.
Susie Fanhaven's in the house. Look at that. Now we know we've made it. When Susie comes to your live chat,
Susie didn't give me a painting last week. She just put something up about Ulysses S. Grant, and there was wasn't anything I can do with it. So,
Redneck Express is in the house. I want to be the lucky winner, he says. So yeah, I decided to.
So let's talk about this. We.
Oh geez, you should put a little, like warning. This is gross.
You fought the law and the law won.
Oh
my God. All right. Give us the quick and skinny on, because you're
so the quick and skinny is we've got a woodpecker problem around our yard, and it killed one of my very large, tall trees in the edge of the yard a couple of years ago. And it's been dying and the bark's falling off, and the wife's like, we need to cut that thing down. So I have an 18-inch bar on my saw, and it barely made it through. So my brother-in-law came over. We hooked the four-wheeler up with a 100-foot cable to encourage it to fall the way we wanted. Cut my notch, got the saw started, pounded some shims in, cut it off. My brother-in-law's pulling with the four-wheeler and the winch. It falls perfectly, makes a big crash. Nobody's hurt. We cut the tree up. We limb it. We block it up. We're good. No one has gotten hurt with the chainsaw. Nothing. I go to pull the four-wheeler around, and there's some. When I say limbs, I'm talking limbs, like from the top of the tree that are still 6 inches in diameter. And I picked one up, and I threw it out of my way over another log, and it landed, and it flipped up and spun around, and I got punched in the mouth harder than I've ever gotten hit before. Look at that! You got the fridge moved right over by you now.
Yeah, I can put the ice cubes right in the drink here, baby. This is what happens when you've lived on this planet for 55 years, and you can create an 1,100 square foot man palace with a full bar, 6 by 4 foot shower. You just reach right over, get whatever you want while you're still talking to Copper Dan.
So, anyways, it happened. My brother-in-law watched it, and I just turned around, put my hands over my face, and it was just, I'm like, the first thing I did was press my tongue up to my teeth to still see if I had teeth in my mouth, and it appeared that I did. But when I pushed him into my lip where the pain was, and it went into a crevice. So I took my hands off my face, we're now full of blood, and I pick my lip up and I pull it forward, and I look at my wife. I go, "What does this look like?" And she goes, "Oh my God." And it splits wide open. I'm like, oh, so they run, they get a towel, they get ice, they get me laying down for a little while with my feet above my head, kind of get collected, go in the house, get cleaned up. My brother-in-law's a surgical tech, and he looked at it, he goes, "You got to go in. You got to get stitches." I'm like, ugh. And I normally would, if that cut was anywhere else on me, I would have been like, yeah, no, we're not getting stitches.
You were texting me from the emergency room waiting.
That's why I was texting you those pictures. I was in the ER. So
in real time with Copper Dan going to the emergency room.
Because it was in my mouth, I'm like, we better go in. So we go in and we look at, we had to wait about an hour, but they finally got us in. A couple of doctors looked at it. Yeah, you need to stitch it. We can fix it up. So got a tetanus shot. They asked me, "When's your last tetanus shot?" And I was going to say, "Oh, I'm good." My wife goes, "No, it's been a long time since you had one." So I got a tetanus shot, got stitched up. The dissolving stitches are already out. My lips healed. And this thing is just taking a little bit of time to heal up on the outside. I guess there was a puncture wound on the outside as well.
Yeah.
So that's what I did this week.
Karma. You know what today is?
Today is May the 4th be with you.
4th be with you. A little Grogu t-shirt for everybody out there. Hope you're having a good May the 4th be with you. You know what we like to do on this show, Dan? Try to get it in an hour. We like to play the number one game show.
The number one game show in the chase. And what is the number one game show in the chase, Packer Jack?
I think it has something to do with you. And yeah.
Could it be You Don't Know Jack? No, that is not the game show.
That's not the game show? Or let me stop sharing. I can stop share that. Hang on. Let me get the right one.
So the picture on the right there, I was already stitched up. I did not post the gruesome picture when it was split open. You can thank me for that, everybody. Because otherwise I guarantee my humble partner here would have had that on the screen too. That was a little more
it's going back to you. There we go. You ready?
I got it.
You see it?
Yep, we're good.
All right. Question number one goes to you, Dan. Oh, by the way, let's go back just for a second here. So this is going to be the last You Don't Know Jack since we did the copper kettle drawing the last time. So this is your last chance to get into this copper kettle drawing, which we're going to do next week. And we got some great names already in there, some new players that have gotten some. And we made a couple of these tonight a little easy so that some of you can maybe sneak in at the last minute here. So let's start with question number one.
What is the prize going to be?
I think we still got Bobby Dazzler t-shirts. We may have to give options because we might already have some t-shirt winners that might win it. So
okay,
we've got that, and we got maybe some. We'll give an option to the winner.
Well, I better answer that. They probably already read the question, but I'll go ahead and read it. When I met Jack at the airport and he told me exactly where he found the chest without me. Hang on here. When I met Jack at the airport and he told me exactly where he found the chest without me needed to make a motion to intervene. Just kidding. Okay, I see what you're saying. I learned that we shared another experience. Art fairs. Where is the city that Copper Elements has exhibited at the same art show that Jack was reluctantly dragged to as a kid? Name that city. And if you were part of my Facebook page, you would probably know the answer to this if you took the time to read my post. Very long post.
Vertigo. Jack's brother got it already. Ann Arbor, Michigan. There it is, the Ann Arbor.
That's right.
Now, you typed so much stuff up about your story about meeting Jack, all the stuff that happened, him signing the maps, and all of a sudden you leave this little gem out that you talked about being at the Ann Arbor Art Fair, and he said, yeah, my parents used to drag me there when I was a kid.
Well,
what's left up in that copper? Did
as
jarred with your teeth
as things start, I think that helped. That knock to the head jarred that memory back, and I went, oh yeah, I remember that. But as more and more things come up, I think there, it could possibly be the location of the chest. I'm not sure. If it happens to come to me, you'll be the first to know.
Thanks. I think that's a location.
That is a joke.
This is a two-part question. In Zoe's deposition in the McCracken case, who did she say now owns the turquoise bracelet, and did she say that Jack sold it or gave it to Forrest? So when Zoe got deposed, who did she say now owns the turquoise bracelet? And who did she say that Jack sold or gave it to Forrest? Because that's been a question right now. So you can do an either or, but you have to get both correct. So
Mary Green says, thank goodness that limb didn't hit your eyes. I think she's hitting on me, PJ. What do you think? She's thinking I have good looking eyes.
Vertigo got it again. Vertigo's just keeping everybody out of the kettle.
I get nothing from my partner. No encouragement.
And he gave it to Forrest for free. Boop. Question number 3, Copper Dan.
Without doxing, the picture on this slide shows Jack in a well distributed photo next to his brother Kyle. Kyle was a jobless victim during the pandemic, but was hired a year ago and recently celebrated his 1-year anniversary with his new company. Please Do not contact Kyle or his company. What is Kyle's role in his new job?
What does Kyle roll? What does Kyle do at his new job? Oh, let's see how quickly Vertigo gets this one, since Vertigo is Kyle.
I heard he worked for Copper Elements. Wanted to become an artist.
Yeah, we know his name's Kyle, Treasure Warriors. It's in the question. We need to know what does he do? What's his role or title at his new job? There's Vertigo. Look at Vertigo, pulls it up right away. Digital account manager. He does branding, creative, and digital strategy. Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary with your new company, Kyle Stoof. There he is. Look at him waving. New photo of him too. Looking good, huh?
Yeah. Boy, that does ever look like maybe that's the guy I met. No, I'm just kidding. But that really, you could definitely tell that's a brother.
There you go. All right, question 4. In an email response to a searcher, Jack stated that every decision that Forrest made regarding the poem was deliberate. What example did Jack give as something not done on accident by Forrest in the poem? Come on, somebody else besides Vertigo, get this one.
Example that Jack.
Ken Oklahoma said that Kyle was Cynthia's personal assistant. No. Treasure Warrior said something blank account manager. JK Pioneer says, I don't follow these people. JK did post the link to episode 13 of the Copper Factory. If you have not commented yet, we're going to very soon do the drawing for the Gary Drayton map off of Comment Picker off of episode 13. So get in there. You've got a couple more minutes. And again, Vertigo, 4 for 4 tonight. Capitalized the word brown. How about that? What do you think? Who do you think this Vertigo is, Dan?
I'm really starting to think it could be Jack Stoof himself. He knows these questions better than we do.
It's unbelievable. We write them. I wonder if he's hacked me, hacked my computer, my PowerPoint presentations. Could be that Vertigo has.
I think we're going to have to. I think we're going to have to pull FBI or do some investigative work on this Vertigo guy. Vertigo.
I know who Vertigo is not. Vertigo is not Frost Heave the Snowman. We know that for sure. So.
Hey, it cracks me up every time.
We're going to give another t-shirt away next week from the Copper Kettle or some other prize. So for those of you that answered, and we've got probably 12 or 13 of you in there, we're either going to do this shirt. Look at you got to pay $21 on the Oak Island website for the History Channel plus shipping. Not on the Copper Factory. You have to use answer question correctly. Try to keep Vertigo away from answering correctly, and you can get in the Copper Kettle. So that's what we're going to do next week.
You know what we need? I know what we need to do. Fix this, but we'll discuss it off air.
We'll discuss it off. Mike N says, is Vertigo Jack?
I know, it's what we've been saying.
Says, comma, not comment. Jeez. All right, so
Ben's having a little trouble with the keyboard tonight, apparently. His fingers not
here's
working.
The deal. So I had to make a trip to Washington, D.C. Ben thought I was going to Library of Congress to get some documents, but I talked with Dan on Friday, and I just said, I'm actually not going to fly back until Wednesday morning. I don't think it'd be good to do the show from my hotel. And we agreed. And plus, then I was able to schedule a very swanky dinner for last night while I was there, which was great. And I flew back this morning. None of this was timed with other shows or what's going on tonight. And so we originally were on at, I think, 8, and then Toby scheduled for 8. So we moved it to 7. And then Cape Pro said they were going to go live, which they did today. And I actually caught some of it and commented on there. And I thought I was grateful that they had Goldilocks on today, because we obviously have used screenshots from Goldilocks when we were talking about June 5th and 6th timeline. So it was cool to see her on today. It's right after I finished my I had another meeting after I got home from DC this morning, as you know, Dan, but was able to watch Mike and K-Pro. And interesting, Mike and I are kind of channeling together on the whole Yellowstone, and he was combating Toby when they had Toby on this week. But my personal Dan and I aren't going to pull up text from today and the transcripts and all that stuff. I thought, Kyle Lazars did a great job of that. Toby said he was going to do that. Maybe he still will tonight, where he's going to go through the entire transcripts. Dan and I are not attorneys. We don't want to play them on TV. We read legal stuff all day, every day in our lives and what we do for work. And we want to be more about entertainment and having fun, and just tell you what I always say, here's what the law is, or here's what happened, here's what the practical implications of it are. So the practical implications for me of what happened today was there was a hearing on the motion to intervene by the government in regards to the probate case and McCracken's claim. And McCracken's made some very serious claims and allegations, not only that he's the true finder, that he found the chest, that he has a video of it, and that Forrest kept moving it after he found it, but didn't retrieve it, and that Forrest has some personal issues that Dan and I certainly are not going to go into, because we don't even believe that they're true, and so on and so forth. And that's basically the gist of the case. The hearing today was on a motion to intervene that the government made. The government was making an intervention in regards to Jack being deposed, which would have happened potentially as soon as this Friday. That deposition would have been where McCracken could have asked him questions in regards to the case, the chase, so on and so forth. The government was intervening, and what we heard today were the specific reasons why, and I can touch on that briefly if we want to. After it was over, and I told Dan this, and I watched Mike and Capro's show with Goldilocks. I just did a win-loss column, and I think everybody won and everybody lost. So people are like, well, somebody won and somebody lost, or McCracken won and the government lost. I think that was kind of a win-lose for everyone involved, in the sense that there's opportunities for things that may have happened or not happened today to still happen. And I can touch on that in a practical way, which is how I do things in business, as opposed to getting into all the legalese of it. There were 3 participants, and then the judge. There was Kimberly Bell representing the United States government. Carl Summers was representing the Fenn estate, and McCracken was representing himself pro se. It started off with the judge making a statement where he kind of tipped his cap already that he was going to rule to deny the motion by the government, but gave U.S. Attorney Bell the opportunity to state her case. I think the gist of what she presented was that the government does not have a concern in regards to who owns the chest or intellectual property or the potential solve. Their interest is in the specific sanctity and property of the location where the chest was, and they use the word in this in this proceeding today, allegedly recovered, because obviously they're going off of what happened in this meeting with Forrest and Jack, where they told them where the location was, as has come out earlier. And that was their real concern. Their concern is for the sanctity of this land, and they want to protect it. And they believe that Mr. Stoof making a deposition in regards to where the location is could potentially lead to damage of that area. The judge made some retorts after that, again, leaning towards the denial. Then Carl Summers presented, and I thought he's a smooth character. He had a great quote about Coca-Cola and the recipe for Coca-Cola. And, somebody says they have the recipe for Coca-Cola, but they want to depose you so that you have to tell them what the recipe is. And you're Coca-Cola. So it was an interesting argument that Carl made. Carl was making the same argument for the government about, the Fenn estate also wanting to protect the location. McCracken spoke. He probably didn't need to. I thought the judge was great, very kind judge to all parties, and was very kind to McCracken, because McCracken was saying things that probably shouldn't have been said, that weren't germane. And the judge kind of guided him back into what the true issue was about whether the motion should be denied or not. And it resulted with the motion being denied. And the bottom line with it was, the judge said that this was not the right jurisdiction for the government's case. The government should have taken action before. Ms. Bell said they only learned about this on April 4th. So they took immediate action with this motion to intervene. They didn't have time to go through a federal jurisdiction, to try to block it or to prohibit Jack from either having a deposition or being able to gag him from talking about the location. So they were looking for a protective order, potentially through this channel. And the judge just said that's inappropriate. I should already have that in my hand to not allow the deposition, but you shouldn't be coming at it through this venue. So that motion was denied. And the other things that resulted in it were, and I didn't do a bunch of slides tonight. I have one just with Carl's quote, because I thought it was important about him using the word the park. And he talked about Supra and the park. I agree with Mike Cowling on what Mike said earlier tonight, that it's pretty hard to argue that when they're talking about Supra and the park, that it's Yellowstone. Obviously, there's Grand Teton. You could get into all that, but I'm not going to argue that with anybody else in the community on what they believe. And it looks like the deposition for Jack is delayed and will not take place on Friday. I think it was 8 days, or there was a discussion of 8 days from now. So that means another week will go by before there's a potential deposition of Jack. I believe the judge was tipping his cap towards the government, saying you got a week to go through the right jurisdiction to do what you need to do, and to Carl as well too. And I very well think that may take place, and we'll have to wait and see. And that's why I said it's a win-lose for everybody. I think you could easily argue how somebody won something and how somebody lost something. And if you want me to go through that, I can, Dan, but I'm going to stop talking because I just talked for a long time. And what did you think about what happened today?
What day is it?
Oh, it's a Thursday.
I'm teasing. You can talk. My goodness. I'm teasing you, by the way. You're very knowledgeable on this stuff, and it's good to listen to. Adam Foddy asks, so is Jack going to spill the beans on everything, or at his deposition, or what? So there's a lot of different ways that could go. Jack could plead the fifth. I don't know if Jack even legally has to show up to the hearing or to the deposition.
No, he can do it virtually. He can do it virtually.
Well, I don't know if he's even required by law to even do that. But the upcoming days will.
You're compelled, if you're subpoenaed for a deposition, you're compelled to testify. He could get delays or whatever, but I think they're at the point now where this has gone on long enough where, he would be compelled at this point. Now, that doesn't mean that he has to say anything, or that he has to say anything specifically, or that he couldn't take the fifth. And I think it's Toby actually, even though I love listening to Toby because he's so intellectual, but I don't think he's right about it being outside of the park and some other things. But Jack still has options if he does have to be deposed on what he would say. But I think the government's going to take one more bite of the apple through the proper channels over the coming, week, and potentially try to get some injunctive action, a protective order, some type of gag order that they would go through the federal government on. And the funny thing about the United States government is sometimes your cases take 2 years, but if they want to get something done, it can get done in 2 or 3 days. So,
right. So before all that, when this first broke out, I'm like, God, it's pretty damning evidence. I felt that it was definitely in Yellowstone National Park. And then we listened to Toby, and Toby put enough doubt in my mind to step back and go, okay, before this is a slam dunk, we need more. And then what came out today, I'm like, I don't see how you could say it wasn't in the park. But now we don't know where in the park, but the park is a big place. But
yeah. So 2 things that have happened. We have the answer by McCracken on the motion to intervene, where he mentions Yellowstone and 9 Mile, where the Fenn estate has not mentioned that, but it's in his response. So it's McCracken saying it, not anybody else in the case. But we know through discovery he has supposedly all these other emails and other things in discovery that are in evidence. Listening to Cynthia and others, and again, this can all be poppycock, and this whole thing can be BS, and we don't know what's real and what's not real. But McCracken, in his verbal pro se representation of himself today, again said Yellowstone and 9 Mile Hole. And this wasn't a time for the other parties to object to him as a witness, but he wasn't a witness. He was an attorney for himself. But we've now had twice McCracken say Yellowstone and 9 Mile, and today we had Carl Summers say the park.
He referenced a national park, and then he referred to it as the park. So how many national parks are in Wyoming? So there's the Tetons.
Well, let me find that one slide.
Yellowstone, and I believe Bighorn is a national park. So that's three that I know of.
Let me see if I can do the screen.
Glacier would be in Montana. That doesn't count.
Is this it? Yeah, I think this is it, Dan. Let me share this real quick.
All right.
And go full screen with it because I'm a loser and don't know how to do that before I go full screen. So system units under Supra. So I listed, so you've got Fort Laramie, you've got Devil's Tower, Fossil Butte, you've got Grand Teton as the national parks. When you think of park, you've got Yellowstone National Park, George Washington Memorial Parkway, Bighorn Canyon, and you've got a related area as Snake River headwaters, Wild and the Scenic River. So Carl already said national park. If you believe that it's in Wyoming and it's a national park, and Carl also used Supra, and so Supra is what narrows it down. There was you can argue system units that are under the National Park Service or the Department of the Interior, but I think we're really starting to parse for people to kind of hang on to their last life preserver unsolved that they have that might be outside of Grand Teton or Yellowstone. And Carl's exact quote I have in that second highlighted bullet point, he said, the national park that we are talking about is defined as a system unit resource, and the estate has done everything it can to protect every portion of disclosure of any location in the park. So, that's it. If you really want to get into the park, of all those things that are listed, you've got Grand Teton, you've got Yellowstone, and in the same proceedings, you've got McCracken saying Yellowstone Park and 9 Mile Hole. Doesn't mean that he is a pro se attorney. He may just be throwing a Hail Mary, but based on the fact that he's received all the discovery in the case and nobody has objective. And Carl has even said that, and made the point today, that McCracken has been releasing discovery items to the Chase community, and made the judge aware of that today. So that's one of the things that Carl wanted to make a point of. That's the only slide I did, besides you don't know Jack. Toby can do it, K-Pro can do it. I don't want to go through all the testimony and everything. To me,
what are your feelings on, so that's just, for the sake of argument, it really does look to be Yellowstone National Park, which means there are people in Yellowstone National Park that actually this isn't conjecture, this is a fact. They know the solve. They don't know the solve. They know the spot. Sarah Davis knows the spot. And the old saying that Forrest said, two can keep a secret if one of them is dead. So now there was Forrest that knew the spot. There was Jack, Sarah. I'm going to say probably Carl knows the spot.
Or Carl may know that it was in Yellowstone, and Forrest may have still not told him the exact location. There was this talk about, did Carl videotape Forrest making, the 9-clue recording, and then they forgot to hit record or whatever, but that's all supposition. But Carl saying the park today, at a minimum, we know that he knows. Remember in that meeting that was with Sarah Davis and other at least one government representative, Jack and Forrest, Carl was not in that meeting. So Forrest could have maintained that my attorney and my family still do not know the exact location.
It's just my point to this is eventually too many people now know. So Sarah Davis comes home from a long day at work and tells her spouse or significant other in confidence, and 3 years from now they split up, and the spouse goes out one night with his buddies, and they see something on the news. Anyway, it comes out, and now his buddies know, and it will come out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that I'm the timeline guy. And I like to, I'll go back over the winners and losers thing, that I put together just as a recap of what happened today. But I go back to June of 2020 and now August of 2020. And so supposedly Jack and his attorney Tom have Forrest, without Forrest attorney Carl, having a video conference call that's documented, most likely recorded, with Sarah Davis and at least one other representative of the United States government, whether it's her deputy, whether it's one of the attorneys. And they are telling Sarah Davis, based on her submissions, where the chest was located. Interestingly, again today, that the word allegedly located was used by the government. And I think appropriately so, because they're saying this is where Forrest and Jack told us it was. I think Kimberly Bell appropriately used the word apparently today, which was interesting. My point is, so we go from June 5th, June 6th, 2020 to August 2020, and this meeting takes place. Let's not forget that Mr. Fenn passed away on the Monday of Labor Day weekend. So it's literally just weeks after this meeting took place. I have a supposition, I have nothing to base it on except intuition, that Forrest wanted to be noble and do the right thing. And my supposition is that Jack, and with either Jack directly or with his attorney Tom, or Tom talking to Carl, said, man, we can't put Jack in a position to be, getting in legal trouble with Yellowstone National Park or whatever, because he played by the rules of your chase. He did everything that you said. He left the chest there, called you, asked you if it was okay to bring it to you, so on and so forth. And I think Forrest may have done a solid at the end, quick weeks before he passed away, to say, yeah, Carl, first of all, I don't even want you in this meeting. I'm going to be in this meeting with Tom and Jack in the park. And I'm going to basically say that Jack should not be held accountable, that not only was he one out of 300,000 people that searched for this thing and found it, but he explicitly left it there, sent me an email and asked me what he should do. And I instructed him to do exactly what he did. If that was illegal, that's not on him, that's on me. I should have known what the rules of engagement were, and I would have misguided him in that regard. And if there are any fines, if there's any penalties to be paid, if there's any court action to be taken, I'd like to, that's my responsibility, because I misguided this young man and told him to not take the chest to you or to contact you, to bring it directly to me at the time that he located it. He did everything that he thought was proper based on the way that I directed him to do it. And this is what happened, and so on and so forth. Now, I could be completely wrong on that, but it's pretty cool to think if Forrest did that, a few weeks before he passed away. I know people are talking about the circumstances of Forrest passing. You and I don't want to get into that. I think we all know what the dynamics of why Forrest started the chase in the first place and what could have potentially happened at the end, but that's a private matter for the family. And unless they want to divulge that or facts come out, I don't think it's proper for us to speculate on that.
Agreed.
But it could be Forrest saying, I'm going to take whatever this S show is and put the full weight of it on my shoulders, or at least try to do that for Jack, so that he does not have any liability in this matter. That would be a cool way for Forrest to end it. I was not shocked, but it was interesting to hear K-Pro talk today about how she said, if it truly is Yellowstone and 9 Mile Home, we look at the poem in the book and we grade other treasure hunters. She goes, I don't think I would give Forrest an A on this one. And that's a pretty strong statement from someone who's, is known as a Forrest defender and friend. And for her to make that statement this afternoon during their show, I thought was a pretty strong statement. That could you really get there just by the poem in the book? And again, not to get off tangent with what I just discussed, but that was probably one of the most interesting comments that I heard today from someone who's been in this a long time about that.
I think, sometimes you like Forrest was a maverick, and he kind of, had the more, I'm going to put this thing wherever I want to put it, and I don't care. And at the end of the day, this thing probably grew into something a little bit bigger than he originally suspected. And then had a whole bunch of things happen with vandalism, with the deaths and stuff. And I'm sure it's probably somewhere around 2015, 2016, he had to probably re-seek legal counsel to go, Houston, we have a problem, or we could have a problem.
Yeah.
So thankfully, at the end of the day, it looks like things were taken care of.
Yeah.
And in a way, good on Yellowstone for the way it looks, is they look like nobody was charged. They didn't put anybody in jail. They didn't take the treasure away. So good on for that. However, I don't know as a U.S. citizen what our rights are, but if we have a right to know where that treasure was.
Look, I would never argue with Toby. Toby is an absolutist, and he's J. Edgar Hoover reborn about this is the law and this is the way you interpret it and this is how Sarah Davis should do it. But I also grew up watching Iran-Contra and Oliver North, and nobody went to jail. I watched the entire financial market collapse and nobody from Goldman Sachs went to jail. I mean, if you don't think there's nuance and power and things that, even though we say, well, this is the letter of the law and this is the way that things have to be done. I mean, go back through human history and watch how people in power are able to make things happen and certainly people that have high priced attorneys. And let's not forget, Forrest had a lot of goodwill built up in the military community, generals, people at the White House, all the charity and stuff that he did to help develop West Yellowstone, Buffalo Bill Center, probably millions of dollars of donations. And I'm not saying that he and Jack tried to do anything wrong or that Forrest tried to do anything wrong. I just think that there's a lot of people that are higher up that could potentially say, not in a conspiratorial way, just say, look, or let's pin it on the old man. And guess what? 2 to 3 weeks later, the old man's dead. So, and Jack Forrest gives Jack a get out of jail free card by saying, don't blame this young man. He did everything. I told him to do everything that he did. It's not his fault. It's my fault. If I would have told him to contact you as the superintendent before he brought the chest to me, he would have done that. I didn't tell him to do that. I misguided him. I gave him wrong counsel in bringing the chest back to me.
So should we do what do you want to do next?
I think people have about a minute and 30 seconds to go back to Copper Factory episode 13 and enter a comment, because Dan is now going to pull up Comment Picker and get that going, because we promised to do the Gary Drayton signed map giveaway. If you have not made a comment, you can say, I hate Packer Jack. We don't care. If you go and make a comment right now on episode 13 of the Copper Factory, Dan's going to start pulling up his machine to comment pick off of that. And we are going to send the framed, signed Gary Drayton map. I'll turn it over to you, Dan.
I'm already ready to go. So we will, it is 7:42. We'll give you guys a couple of minutes. It looks like Pecker just stepped away for a minute. So I'll turn to chat, ask some questions. What do you guys think of the news today? How many are, I don't know how to do a poll on this YouTube on Zoom here, but how many people think Yellowstone National Park? Are we a little more convinced now than we have been? And at least, I mean, we could narrow down the park. I mean, the park's a big area, but as saying that, there's also a lot of areas in the park where, I mean, realistically, it's probably within a mile of a road, and there's not a ton of roads in Yellowstone, so it can definitely be narrowed down. Not saying that it's 9 Mile hole, but we could, if we know it's in the park, that really X's out a lot of territory around Wyoming. Let me just further evidence it was Yellowstone. I agree, Adam. But I was I actually, for argument's sake, I was not a Yellowstone. I did search the park a little bit, but I was more right outside the park. I was more of just didn't think Forrest would put it in the park because of the problems that were going to happen. Well, kind of end of the day, it looks like that might be where it ended up. Chasing Indies in the house. Hey, Ben, she says. Collizer says yes. Pay the debt, Mike. Did you and Adam have a little wager going on? How come I couldn't get in on it? I'd like to take Mike's money from him. Goldilocks, hey, thanks for swinging in. They think it was in the park. I want proof. Well, I think we all want proof, Goldilocks. Right now, it's still, as much as proof as we have, it is still speculation. And hopefully more come out. You never know. Maybe Jack will just tell us. I mean, maybe at this point, I don't know if there was a gag order on him. It would be nice to know a little bit more. Hey, Andy, how you doing? If you set the treasure chest in a hole, it's not buried. 10 years later, forced is covered the chest. Is it still buried or covered? Good question. Yeah, that is a good question about it being buried, because what defines buried? I mean, if you set something in the ground part way, which it looks like, Forrest knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing, the way he did it. I think that was absolutely intentional on what he did, and he knew what was going to happen over the years. 9 Mile Hole still going strong, says Vertical. It's got some convincing qualities to it over other spots, but my partner has completely went AWOL on me here. Oh my goodness.
I thought you were going to do the giveaway.
Was that Ranger Jack I just saw? I'm not sure. But oh my gosh.
Now what's going on here tonight here? Codpiece Dale.
Wow. Ranger Jack, I presume. Good to see you.
I'm only here tonight. I'm only here tonight to warn your merry mischief makers to follow the park rules, because we're only 1 month away from June 5th and 6th up at the old Yellowstone National Park. But I do have to say, I do appreciate being here on the Con Man Factory again. Get you, Gummy Bear.
I heard you I'm surprised that you had the balls to show up on our show tonight after heard you do a little call into another show YouTube channel the other night. And what did you call this? The Con Factory? Does that ring a bell?
Listen here, 2 things here, Crisco Delight. One, I heard a little karma came your way with all this sass talk that you've had, that poem of your old Forrest Fenn had, Brave and in the Wood, and I heard you got a mouthful of wood writing a kisser for all that sass you've been giving out. That's karma, my friend.
Yeah,
Iron Tony.
You know what I did with that tree after it hit me in the face? I burnt it. And that's what I'm going to do to your park when I come out there in a month.
You see, now it's threats right there. It's threats right there. Palladium Poly. They're going to get you and your gang of mischief makers in trouble.
All right there, sir. We could argue, but we could throw insults at each other all day long. But I reached out to Yellowstone National Park today and asked him if Sarah Davis would mind stepping in. Apparently, we didn't get her. We got you. So what is your relationship to Miss Davis?
Well, we've had Indian nations up in our area for a long, long time. And you may be familiar with what they call the totem poles. Miss Davis is at the top of ours. Your friend here, Ranger Jack's just about 4 feet off the ground.
So you're, if she's here, you're somewhere down here.
Yeah, but I'm still high enough to crush you like a ladybug.
All right. So what are your thoughts on the loss of the government today? You guys took a pretty big loss today.
Oh, it's a long, long game. It's a long, long game. I'll tell you here, we had Coca-Cola Carl, we had Kimberly, and I'll tell you something here. I think that we did a fantastic job, Crisco Delight, in the way that the government got involved, because we only found out about this on April 4th. Now, yes, that motion to intervene was denied today, but guess what we have? We have another full week, because Mr. Steve, and remember, I call him Steve because when you had him sign that map, he signed it T-E-U-F. And when I went to school, they said when two vowels do the walking, the first one does the talking. Jack Steve. So Mr. Steve's interview is not scheduled now for another 8 days, which gives Kimberly and everybody on our team a full week to go to the right jurisdiction on the federal level. And we're going to be able to look at getting some prohibitive action taken. That may even be a protective order, could potentially even gag Mr. Steve, your friend that you met in an airport and drank a lot of beer with. And who knows?
Well,
Who knows
let me tell you what, my friend, we're coming and we're going to take that Weeblo little outfit right off of you and throw it in the ground.
You know, I got.
Would you find that thing in the dollar store or something? Doesn't the government have any money to get you a better uniform?
I got a newsflash for you, stink finger Phil, and here it is. Home of Brown doesn't mean you taking dookies in the nookie at 9 Mile Hole with you and your friends. You and your daddy going to Queen's Laundry and wringing out your thongs and your underoos there. That is not what Yellowstone Park is for, my friend. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
I understand that you've probably never been back to Queen's Laundry. That's a pretty long hike for someone of your age. Tell you what, why don't we change things a little bit here? Have you what are your thoughts on St. Jude?
Well, now that's the one thing I think you and the slacker jerk who you do the show with are doing a good job of, is at least you're raising some money for some underprivileged children. And I heard the St. Jude not only helps kids where you're at in Minnesota, they're Canadian, Dan, but helps people all over the world and even in the Ukraine right now where they're having some problems there. It's one of the 3 reasons on my 10 fingers, because I only got the 3. I already told you 2. That I'm even with you tonight is because I think you're doing some good things for children.
And you
gotta keep you out of the park.
You do realize Mr. Steve was a big reason why we raised $30,000.
Well, absolutely. I certainly know.
So maybe you have a little respect and call him by his name, Stoof. That's all I'm saying. All right.
Raise the money for St. Jude's. Have your mischief makers, your fanatics, all these people in this Chase community that are Bonkerville. Give to St. Jude's. That's fantastic. But no dookie in the nookie. And you tell that buddy of yours, Packer Fudge or whatever his name is, that we don't want to see any fudge on our lawn on our lodge poles.
All right. Well, I'll let him know. All right. Can you Ranger Jack, can you see my screen
I can
share?
see your screen, Penelope.
All right. Okay, so I just pasted in episode 13 of the #1 rated YouTube show, The Copper Factory. And
all right, you do that drawing, Iron Dog. I'll see you later.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping in, Ranger Jack, and we'll catch you soon. You take care. All right, guys. Man, that was pretty awesome. Ranger Jack stopped in. I heard he might. All right, so we have 42 comments. So thanks everyone for playing. 42 unique comments, and we're just gonna get it going here. Hell's Canyon, another great show. Thanks, Hell's Canyon. I will reach out. You are the winner of the signed map by Gary Drayton. So congratulations. Where the hell were you? You know who stopped in when you were gone? How long? My goodness. Did you get lost?
You know what happened? Who won?
Hell's Canyon won.
Hell's Canyon. I wonder who that is. Have we ever seen that name before?
No, I have not.
Man, we're gonna have to find out. So you're either gonna have to get in contact with us through Dan's email. What is it, Dan?
copperdan17@gmail.com.
Or PM him on messenger him on Facebook, or you can messenger me on Facebook if you know my name there. But that's a new name. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Gary Drayton, signed by Gary Drayton, the Bobbly Dazzler himself. Put his signature specifically between Nova Scotia, where he works half of the year, and then where he lives by Vero Beach in Florida. And Gary found a ring that is now valued, an emerald ring, over $740,000 down there.
Unbelievable. So yeah, well, you were off doing God knows what. Ranger Jack come in and ripped on our show. He picked on your partner. He threw shots at you. picked on Jack. The only thing he respected was the kids with St. Jude's. So we hope to see him.
Give him credit for that.
I hope to see him again. Hopefully he'll swing back in, and next time maybe you'll be here and we can really grill him.
So I am not as talented as K-Pro and Mike and Goldilocks were today. And you and I don't like to get into legalese, and we only put up that one slide just so we had Carl's quotes. But I did do my little, since I was traveling, I think everybody won and lost today. And I hope that makes sense to everybody, that today wasn't this somebody won and somebody lost, because I think there's still a lot out there. So for the government, I said, where did they lose? Well, they lost because the motion was denied. Where did they win? Well, Jack's deposition now seems like it's delayed for another week, and the judge was basically guiding them to go back to their jurisdiction on a federal level to go and get a protective order or to potentially gag Jack. So you could look at that as their motion to intervene if they truly only heard about this on April 4th, on this, Jack potentially being deposed is what they say they heard for the first time on April 4th, even though
I'll be right back.
Jack and Forrest met with Yellowstone back in August of 2020. Touche, you could consider that a win if you're the government. It gives you time now to get some type of potential federal injunctive relief with a protective order or a gag. Carl representing the Fenn estate. I think the loss really is, if you think about Zoe and the family, is that just getting dragged out. So just the weight of it, the delay, the time it's taking, anything that pops in like another motion to intervene or whatever is just, it's just another death by 1,000 cuts for them. I think their win is the same as the government's win, though. Jack's deposition is potentially delayed for a week. The government has an opportunity to come back, put in the judge's hand what he said today he should have had, not that should have been done through a motion to intervene in this jurisdiction, but that it should have come down to him from the federal level to put it in his hand. They have an opportunity to put that in that judge's hand within a week before Jack supposedly would be deposed. McCracken. How did he win? Well, the motion was denied. He can say, see, I told you, now the government's motion was denied. But let's be really candid here. We believe his case is illegitimate. It's not based in fact. Jack may still be silent, even if he gets to depose him. Jack could take the fifth, so on and so forth. So McCracken can do a little Pyrrhic victory today that, as a pro se attorney for himself, that a government that made a motion to intervene did. I also think he was his own worst enemy in the session today, where the judge was actually pretty kind to him and, stopped him from hoisting himself by his own petard. And then Jack, how did Jack lose? Well, the motion was denied. So it's more time, and Jack is potentially waiting to sell the chest until this goes away. So just like the death by 1,000 cuts for Zoe and the Fenn family, it's the same thing for Jack. As long as this keeps getting drawn out, it may be precluding him from either taking the chest to auction, or he's got a buyer that he wants to sell it to, but he needs to make sure that he's not going to be held liable in any way through this case. But the win for Jack is he still hasn't had to be deposed to say anything that he doesn't want to say. And the government may still come to his rescue over the next week. So that's the win and the loss on the practical side of this. I'm not an attorney. I don't want to read transcripts. That's what you get from me. And that's my thought about it. And guess what, Copper Dan, we're almost at 1 hour.
It's your story and you're sticking to it. Hey, Jim Romansky is in the house. Jim was last week's big winner of the treasure hunting book by Beth.
Of your book, right? Did he get it?
Well, I just asked. I just stopped in to see him in chat. So up next, we got some more stuff to get away, and I just got something, and I'm itching to share.
Well, I'll share something I got next week. You can share what you got this week.
You sure? We good?
Yeah.
All right. So I saw something floating around on the internet, and I thought this might be a neat thing for me to pick up and use it to help inspire you guys to give more money, and let's raise more money for those kids with St. Jude's. So the first thing I got is if you guys knew Forrest, he wrote more than The Thrill of the Chase and Too Far to Walk and all those books. he had written books before that. And way back when, he wrote a book called The African Animals of W.R. Lay.
In a very limited edition.
In a very limited edition. I want to be even careful just even opening this. I don't want to bend this too much. But this
That's what she said.
This is number 45 of 100. Yes, only 100 of these exist. I'll just tease you with a couple of pictures. This is obviously signed by Forrest. I'm not going to even read it because I don't want to bend. This is in good condition. Unfortunately, there is a. It's kind of hard to focus here. There is a scratch on the cover. But I worked a hell of a deal with the buyer of this when he found out what I was going to do with it. And he even threw in
nice
Eric Sloan.
80.
This is from Hammer Galleries, probably represented Mr. Sloan in his book 80. And I have opened this and flipped through it, and it's got a lot of the pictures that are in his book 80. It is not signed. I did look. I thought that would have been extra special, but I will probably keep these two things together in the upcoming weeks. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel, paying attention, and this will be another giveaway. And if you have it in your means or in your heart, the link is in the description of this video. If you click on it, it will take you there. If you can give $5 or $10 or $100 or whatever you can. We are up to, have you looked lately, John? I think it was like
1,025 last week when I looked.
I think it's up more now. If you guys,
yeah, why don't you look and I'll take over, because I've already posted some of these in a photo, but I want to show you these in real life. Some of the other stuff we're giving away. I mean, one of the first ones was Tyler sent me a box of goodies, and one was this 1973 American Revolution bicentennial coin that we're going to be giving away. I've obviously got JK Pioneers from World Series of Fen that Dan wants because he wasn't there. Sorry, Dan, you can't win. I found this really cool bronze belt buckle, and it sounds really weird, but it's from 1987, and it's heavy bronze, but it's enameled, and it says Yellowstone, and it shows a guy fly fishing in the background as he catches a brown trout coming out. Whether you wear this on your belt or you just display it or it's a paperweight on your desk, that to me looks like Forrest Fenn catching a brown trout on the Madison River. That's pretty cool. Or the fire hole, depending upon what your solve was. Speaking of bronze, this is a giant. This thing is not little. It's like 2.5 by 3 inches. It's a bronze keychain map of Yellowstone on one side, and then the back are park facts with the Roosevelt Arch. Pretty cool keychain. Here's something that you don't see every day. A unused, never used, in a nice cover, original postcard.
The dude.
Postcard of the dude.
Dude, where's my card?
What's that? For all you DB Cooper fans, from Belgium. This is not from the United States. This is a Pep Comics from Belgium. It's a pin. It's a DB. It's a Dan Cooper lapel pin. And this freaked me out. There's a little gold seal on it that says Yellowstone National Park. And I learned that they did this on these little bronze sculptures. And this guy is called the Dude. The bronze dude from Yellowstone National Park. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, because Dan and I have a lot more. Remember the book, the Living River? And then I said I was going to buy another one. Here's the hardbound copy that I got. And there it is, signed by the author, Charles Brooks. And this is the book that has that crazy cool map of the Madison River in it, that even has all the demarcations for 9 Mile Hole on there. You can see it encompasses really cool. Madison Junction, goes all the way up to Ennis. This book, without a signature, I saw the hardcover copy sell for around $200. So I don't know what it's worth with the signature in it, but probably a lot more than that.
Yeah, the same with this. This is these are just the fact that this even showed up on eBay was kind of a rare thing. There's not, I don't think there's, well, there's, I can tell you there's only 100 of them floating around out there. So somebody, as much as I would like to keep it, because I have almost every other book by Forrest, more important to get it to give it to somebody that'll take good care of it, give it a home, and raise some more money for the kids.
Yeah, let's do that. And again, you don't have to give to participate and to win
Nope.
these items, but we certainly would appreciate it. Dan and I mentioned Dan showed something this week. I shared something with Dan today, a secret that has nothing to do with, well, it has something to do with the chase, but not the chase and the chess location and the solve and the 9 clues, but something that I think has a very, very high value that I was able to acquire today. And I'm going to share that next week on next week's show. And maybe we'll talk about how we could do something even better for the kids at St. Jude's.
Why don't we give away, did we talk about what we're going to give away next week?
We're going to do the You Don't Know Jack Copper Kettle, but that's only for people that had correct answers, and Vertigo and I think 12 other people are going to be in the Copper Kettle for that, for the t-shirt. And then we can give away another one of the items that you and I mentioned today.
Why don't, you know, how about Tyler's coin?
Let's do that. Here it is. So we've got, this is
A 1 ounce
1973
silver
bicentennial of the American Revolutionary War.
And I'm going to assume it's 0.999.
Yep. Here is look at the mirror finish on this. This thing has never been out of this container.
Very cool.
It's sterling silver.
Marvelous.
So next week, if you want a silver coin from 1973, make a comment on this show, on tonight's show. We'll comment pick from the comments on tonight's show next week on the Copper Factory.
That's right. And next week we'll be back with all new content. Only tells what will happen over the next week. It seems like a lot is happening in the chase right now, but we're going to let you go.
Yeah, just a special message. God bless you all. I know K-Pro had tuned in. Just wanted to send condolences to her family on the passing of her father last night. I know that there's been a lot of stuff going on in the community, but you know, we wish her and Mike and their entire family peace and prayers and all the best wishes during this difficult time for their family.
Absolutely. Hugs, K-Pro. All right, guys. Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody. See you.
Peace.